Tom Brady has built a $350 million empire that goes far beyond football. From a massive $150 million mansion to stakes in sports teams, broadcasting deals, and businesses across multiple industries, Brady has turned his NFL success into something much bigger, and some of what he owns might surprise you. Let's start with the house, because it's the thing that stopped everyone scrolling in the first place. Brady's new home sits on Indian Creek Island, a tiny stretch of land off Miami that locals just call the Billionaire Bunker. It's not a nickname for show. The 300-acre island has its own police force and a roster of billionaires and high-profile residents drawn to its seclusion. Zuckerberg lives there. Bezos lives there. There are exactly 41 properties on the entire island, and Brady now owns one of them. The number everyone's fixated on is $150 million. That's the estimated value of the finished compound. And once you see the specs, it's not hard to understand why. The home is 25,000 square feet on Indian Creek Island, nicknamed Billionaire Bunker. That's not a house. That's a small hotel with a mailbox. Here's how it started. Brady and Gisela Bündchen bought the land back in 2020, purchasing the roughly 2-acre waterfront lot for about $17 million, with then-wife Gisele Bündchen demolishing the existing home to build a custom mega mansion. From the ground up, $17 million just for the dirt. This was supposed to be their forever home, a family compound for two people who, at the time, looked like the most stable power couple in sports and fashion. Then the marriage ended, and that's where this story gets interesting, because the house didn't stop. It just changed shape. After the couple's 2022 split, Bündchen moved out of the area and later bought a nearby Surfside property, while Brady continued forging ahead solo. Think about that for a second. A house designed for a marriage kept getting built after the marriage was over, just redesigned around one person instead of two. And Brady didn't scale it down. If anything, he scaled it up. Brady revised elements of the original design and took out a $35 million loan to fund construction costs after the divorce. A $35 million loan on top of the $17 million land purchase. This wasn't a man licking his wounds after a breakup. This was a man doubling down on the biggest personal project of his post-football life. So what did that money actually buy? The layout reads like something out of a resort brochure. The estate features a main residence with multiple levels, expansive balconies, floor-to-ceiling glass walls facing the water, a detached pavilion-like structure, likely designed as a guest house or gym, and ample outdoor living areas, with dockage for large vessels and water toys valued at roughly $20,000 each. $20,000 for the jet skis alone. Not the boat, just the toys next to the boat. And the boat itself is its own headline. Reports pin his $6.5 million speedboat already visible at the private dock, escorted by state-of-the-art Yamaha jet skis, emphasizing that this estate was built for both relaxation and top-tier entertainment. $6.5 million parked in his backyard, like a car in a driveway. The setting is doing just as much work as the square footage. The finished design leans heavily into modern architecture, with clean lines, glass-heavy exteriors, and wide-open views of Biscayne Bay, with the property facing both the water and the manicured greens of Indian Creek Country Club, creating a blend of privacy and scenery that's rare even by South Florida standards. You've got the ocean on one side and a private golf course on the other. There's nowhere on that lot where Brady can look out a window and see a stranger. There's also a functional layer to all this that gets missed under the dollar signs. The layout is built for both everyday living and high-end entertaining. Floor plans indicate multiple bedroom suites, staff quarters, and a dramatic central living space, with double-height ceilings, with large glass walls and sliding panels, allowing most of the main rooms to open directly toward the water. Staff quarters, not a guest room, quarters, plural, for people whose job is running the place. Now, not everyone online is impressed. When the exterior photos leaked, the reaction wasn't universal admiration. One commenter online said these extremely expensive houses all look the same and soulless, while another joked it looks exactly how you'd imagine a millionaire bachelor in his 40s house would look. It's the kind of backhanded compliment that only gets thrown at something people secretly wish they owned. But here's the thing. This house isn't just a flex, it's a symptom of something bigger. Brady didn't retire from football and quietly disappear into a beach chair. He built an entire financial machine around himself, and the mansion is just the most visible receipt. To understand how a retired quarterback affords a compound like this, you have to follow the money out of Miami and into a TV booth, a football stadium in Las Vegas, and a courtroom tied to one of the biggest financial collapses in recent memory. Before there was a $150 million house, there was a $375 million signature. This is the deal that made almost everything else in Brady's empire possible, because it gave him guaranteed income at a scale no athlete had ever locked in before, for work that doesn't involve getting hit by 300-pound defensive ends. The deal is with Fox Sports, and the terms are almost hard to say out loud without pausing. Brady signed a 10-year, $375 million broadcasting contract with Fox Sports. Break that down, and it comes out to roughly $37.5 million a year, guaranteed. Whether the games are good or bad, whether he's brilliant in the booth or rusty, it's the largest contract in sports broadcasting history, paying him roughly 15 times his average NFL salary. For context on just how far ahead of the pack that number is, other legends calling games for a living are nowhere close. Tony Romo earns approximately $17 million per year at CBS. Troy Aikman earns around $18 million at ESPN Monday Night Football. Brady is making more than double either of them for a job he'd never technically done before stepping into the booth. And the audience noticed in his second year calling games, the numbers moved in Fox's favor. Fox reported a 6% jump in NFL viewership, averaging 18.7 million viewers per game, the network's second highest average since audience records began in 1988. That's not a coincidence Fox is willing to ignore. Industry analysts credited Brady's improving on-air confidence and his ability to translate quarterback-specific knowledge into accessible broadcast commentary. Here's why this contract matters more than any single number on it. It's guaranteed. Brady doesn't need to throw a single pass, win a single game, or survive a single hit to collect it. His Fox contract is guaranteed. That is passive income in its purest form. He gets paid regardless of performance. For a man who spent 23 seasons getting paid based on wins and championships, that alone is a complete reversal of how he's built his fortune. Football paid him for risk. Television pays him just for showing up. But the booth job came with a complication nobody saw fully coming. Because Brady didn't stop at broadcasting. He wanted a piece of the game itself. That piece came in the form of the Las Vegas Raiders. In early 2022, the door opened. Recently retired quarterback Tom Brady would become a minority owner of the Las Vegas Raiders, pending NFL approval. Principal owner Mark Davis said, adding they were excited for Tom to join, because he would be just the third player in league history to become an owner. Only two other players had ever crossed that line before him, George Halas and Jerry Richardson. But turning that agreement into an actual signature took forever. The deal was struck in principle back in 2023. But the deal was initially agreed upon in May 2023. But it took owners 17 months to give their approval over concerns Brady was receiving too much of a discount from Davis. 17 months of other billionaires arguing over whether Brady got a good deal. That's the kind of scrutiny that comes with the territory once you're trying to own a piece of the league you used to dominate. The other sticking point was obvious the moment you think about it. He's calling games for Fox every single week while also owning a piece of a team that's playing in those very games. Brady's new job as a broadcaster with Fox also was an issue because it could represent a conflict of interest. It eventually got approved anyway. The 7-time Super Bowl champion purchased a minority stake in the Las Vegas Raiders, a deal unanimously approved by NFL team owners at the league's annual fall meeting. The number is small on paper. Brady takes 5% control of the Raiders, but the price attached to that sliver is not small at all. Brady became a minority NFL owner alongside his business partner, Tom Wagner of Knighthead Capital Management, purchasing a 10% stake, 5% each in the Las Vegas Raiders. And the two paid a total of $244 million to become limited partners, which included a $24 million flip tax paid to the other NFL owners. $244 million for a stake in a team that Brady himself once beat in a legendary playoff game. And the value of that stake keeps climbing. The franchise is estimated at $7.8 billion. Even 5% of that number is a fortune all its own. But owning a team while calling games for a national network doesn't come without friction, and it's shown up in real time. There have been moments where his closeness to the field has drawn scrutiny. Raiders owner Mark Davis was even pressed on whether Brady's dual role gave him information advantages, brushing off the question by saying it was cat and mouse, smoke and mirrors. It's the kind of quote that tells you this arrangement is still being negotiated in real time, even after formal approval. So between the broadcast deal and the ownership stake, You've got roughly $619 million in contracts and purchases sitting on Brady's side of the ledger before you even get to endorsements or wellness brands. That's the scaffolding the mansion sits on top of. But scaffolding this large doesn't come without cracks. And Brady has one very public, very expensive crack in his record that almost never gets left out of the conversation. Every empire has a scar, and Brady's is written in a currency that doesn't exist anymore. In 2021, at the height of cryptomania, Brady signed on as a face for FTX, a cryptocurrency exchange that was for a brief moment one of the most talked about companies on the planet. He wasn't alone. Brady and his now ex-wife Gisele Bündchen were FTX ambassadors who joined the company's $20 million ad campaign in 2021, filming a commercial, showing them telling acquaintances to join the FTX platform. Instead of getting paid straight cash, Brady took his fee mostly in company stock, a bet that FTX would keep growing and that stock would keep climbing in value. He was paid $30 million, most of which came in the form of FTX stock. Brady's ex-wife, supermodel Gisele Bündchen, received $18 million in FTX stock too. For a while, that bet looked genius. FTX wasn't some fringe startup, it was sponsoring stadiums, cutting deals with Major League Baseball, plastering its name across sports culture. Before the collapse of FTX, it was valued at $32 billion, including the $48 million in shares held by Brady and Bündchen. Brady wasn't just an endorser cashing a check. He was sitting on paper wealth that made his broadcasting deal look modest by comparison. Then, in November 2022, it all came apart in a matter of days. FTX filed for bankruptcy, its founder facing criminal charges, and the shares Brady was holding went to zero almost overnight. Since FTX is now bankrupt and its founder, Sam Bankman-Fried, is facing criminal charges, that stock is now completely worthless. The chaos of that week produced one of the more human moments in this entire story. As the exchange was cratering, Brady reportedly tried to get answers directly. Brady reportedly made an urgent phone call to FTX's head of partnerships, Sina Nader. Nader later admitted just how surreal that call was, telling reporters he never would have expected to decline a call from Brady, except he was in the middle of a crisis meeting with the company's founder when it came in. The fallout didn't stop at a wiped-out stock position. It turned into a legal mess that dragged Brady's name through headlines for months. Brady was sued by a Patriots fan who says they invested tens of thousands of dollars into now bankrupt cryptocurrency exchange FTX based on the quarterback's endorsement of the platform, joining a class action lawsuit seeking damages against a slew of celebrities who were paid spokespeople for FTX before it collapsed. He wasn't alone in that courtroom either. Other defendants in the suit include Bündchen, Golden State Warriors star Stephen Curry, NBA legend Shaquille O'Neal, Shark Tank investor Kevin O'Leary, and FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried, a roster of some of the most recognizable names in sports and business, all accused of lending their credibility to a platform that turned out to be built on nothing. Legally, the cases haven't gone away quietly. The lawsuits allege the defendants are responsible for investor losses in crypto, because they promoted crypto assets that were unregistered securities, and several civil lawsuits targeting prominent athletes following their promotion of crypto companies will likely take months or years more to unwind. The scale of the damage across the whole FTX collapse dwarfs anything tied just to Brady. Total investor losses are around $3 billion in Voyager Digital and $10 billion in FTX, but his name being attached to any fraction of that is a permanent mark on the resume. As for what Brady personally walked away without, that's the part that gets misquoted the most. The truth is more nuanced than the eye-popping headline number that gets thrown around. He didn't lose over $100 million in cash. What he lost was the $30 million worth of compensation that evaporated once the stock became worthless, plus whatever that money could have grown into somewhere else. Either way you slice it, it's the single ugliest chapter in his post-football financial story. And it's a reminder that even the most disciplined brand in football can get burned chasing the next big thing. But Brady didn't fold after FTX. If anything, the years right around and after the collapse are when the rest of his empire actually accelerated: the wellness brand, the apparel deal, the media company. That's where this story turns from cautionary tale back into growth story. Long before Brady ever thought about owning an NFL team or fronting a crypto ad campaign, he was already building the machine that would define his life after football. And it started with the way he trained his own body. Brady co-founded TB12 back in 2013 with his longtime trainer. And the whole concept was built around a training philosophy he credited with keeping him playing into his mid-40s. Brady and trainer Alex Guerrero launched TB12 in 2013, a health and wellness brand built around the muscle pliability training method. Brady credited for extending his career, selling resistance bands, supplements, and structured workout programs. It even operates a therapy center in Foxborough, next to Gillette Stadium, literally built in the shadow of the team that made him famous. It wasn't without controversy. The league itself once pushed back on how far the operation had grown inside team facilities. The NFL restricted Guerrero's facility access in 2017 over concerns about unlicensed medical claims, a controversy Brady defended publicly. That kind of friction would become a running theme in Brady's business life. Build something bold enough, and eventually somebody official pushes back on it. Financially, though, TB12 quietly became a real business, not a vanity project. Industry estimates put TB12's peak annual revenue at $40 million to $60 million, though exact figures stay private. That's real revenue, generated from bands and supplements and programs, sold to ordinary people who wanted to train like an NFL quarterback, even if they'd never step on a field. Then, during his very last season on an NFL roster, Brady launched a second brand entirely under his own name. Brady launched a namesake apparel line, Brady, in 2022, during his final NFL season, positioning it against established athletic brands rather than as a celebrity's vanity project. Two brands, one built on recovery science, one built on performance apparel, both carrying his name into stores long after he stopped playing. Then, in a move that reshaped both brands at once, Brady made a decision that looked less like a retired athlete cashing in, and more like an actual businessman restructuring for scale. In 2024, Brady merged the TB12 brand and his apparel brand, Brady, with Noble. Rather than running two smaller operations forever, he folded them into a bigger platform with more distribution muscle. And the position he walked away with wasn't a licensing check, it was equity. Today, the legendary quarterback is the second largest stakeholder in the sportswear company, behind only majority owner Mike Ripoll. That merger has kept paying dividends in new products. He later debuted the Noble nutrition line in early 2026, and the partnership has stretched into entirely new sports. Brady commented, "Let's go," on an Instagram post reflecting his partnership with sportswear brand Noble in collaboration with the NHL. Even the company's leadership frames it as a natural extension, rather than a celebrity tie-in. Mike Ripoll put it simply, saying hockey players and Noble just share the same DNA, so the partnership made sense. Outside apparel and wellness, Brady has also built a media wing that rarely gets the same attention as the Mansion or the Raiders stake, but adds real weight to the empire. He is a founding member of production companies Religion of Sports and 199 Productions, as well as NFT platform Autograph. He's also leaned into direct-to-audience content himself, boasting more than 33 million collective followers across his Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok accounts, and starting vlogging on his YouTube channel in August 2024. Then there's the ownership portfolio outside the Raiders, which quietly expands his footprint across multiple sports entirely. He owns TB12, the Brady brand performance apparel line, co-founded 199 Productions, and beyond the Raiders, became an investor and part owner of England's Birmingham City Football Club. Add in stakes tied to the Las Vegas Aces from earlier reporting, and you've got a man with financial skin in football, soccer, and basketball all at once. Put all of that together, wellness, apparel, media, ownership across 3 sports, and you start to see why analysts keep landing on numbers between $300 and $350 million, sometimes higher when they try to price this whole operation. Brady's wealth keeps expanding, driven by his $375 million Fox Sports contract. TB12 and Brady brand revenue, active endorsements, appreciating real estate, and sports franchise equity. None of these individual pieces are enormous on their own compared to actual billionaires, but stacked together across a 5-year run since retirement, they add up to something no other former quarterback has managed to build at this speed. And all of that money had to end up somewhere physical. It ended up on 2 acres of dirt in the most private zip code in America, the same house we started this story with. So circle back to where this all started. the house on Indian Creek Island. Once you know everything that feeds into Brady's income, the mansion stops looking like an isolated splurge and starts looking like the logical output of everything else in his life converging in one place. The house is finished now, and it's not sitting empty waiting for a buyer. There were rumors that Brady sold the property in the early months of 2025, but it now looks like the ex-footballer has officially taken up residence in the newly completed home. This is where he actually lives. The neighbors tell you everything about the tier of wealth this house sits inside. Zuckerberg and Chan locked in a $170 million deal for an under-construction mansion in Miami's exclusive Indian Creek Island community, joining other high-profile residents including Tom Brady, Jeff Bezos, and Carl Icahn. Brady's $150 million compound isn't even the most expensive one going up on that island right now. It's just one entry in a very small, very extreme neighborhood arms race. For scale, the broader records being set in this world are almost absurd. The Florida record is $225 million for a waterfront compound in Naples, while the current U.S. high mark is held by billionaire Ken Griffin's $238 million New York apartment. What Brady built for himself sits below those numbers, but still lands among the most expensive private residences most people will ever see photos of, and the design choices reflect exactly the life stage he's in now. Not a family compound, but a bachelor's operations base. From a matrimonial project to a bachelor fortress, the NFL star redesigned his 25,000 square foot home following his divorce from Gisele Bündchen. Every piece of the property reinforces that identity. The dock isn't decorative, it's functional, built for a man who owns a $6.5 million speedboat and matching jet skis. The gym pavilion isn't a spare room, it's a dedicated wellness structure. The same instinct that built TB12 into a $40 $60 million business, just scaled up into square footage instead of product lines. Even the sports court on the property connects directly back to a man whose entire fortune is still in some way tied to physical performance and the brand built around it. The financial mechanics behind the house are just as revealing as the amenities. Documents from late last year show Brady transferred ownership of the property into a trust and secured a $35 million loan tied to construction. A trust structure and a construction loan aren't the moves of someone burning through cash recklessly. They're the moves of someone treating a $150 million house the way he'd treat any other asset in the empire. Structured, financed, and protected. And that's really the through line across every piece of this story. The Fox contract is structured to pay him regardless of outcome. The Raiders' stake is structured as equity in a franchise valued in the billions. The no-bull merger converted two smaller brands into an ownership position in a bigger one. Even the FTX disaster, as painful as it was, didn't come close to touching the rest of the empire, because none of Brady's other assets were tied to that one bet. The man builds diversified positions, even when one of them blows up spectacularly. That's arguably the real story behind the $150 million mansion. It's not a single reckless purchase by a retired athlete with too much money and nothing to do. It's the physical manifestation of a 5-year run of very deliberate financial moves. Some brilliant, one genuinely disastrous, that together produced enough guaranteed and equity-based income to make a 25,000 square foot compound on the most exclusive island in America not just possible, but almost inevitable. Brady still has 9 more years left on that Fox deal alone. His Raiders stake will likely keep appreciating as the franchise's valuation climbs. The no-bull position keeps expanding into new product categories and new sports. And somewhere out on Indian Creek Island, behind hedges built to shield him from even his billionaire neighbors, a man who once made $193,000 in his rookie season wakes up every day in a house that costs more than most people will earn across 3 lifetimes. Proof that for Tom Brady, retirement from football was never really the end of anything. It was just the start of a different kind of game,